Well, today Epsom MP David Seymour gave himself just one job and he couldn't get it done. The ACT MP had planned to be the sole dissenting voice when the government sought the leave of the House to hurry its gun law reform through. But Mr Seymour was late to work this afternoon and missed the vote altogether. He was, however, on time for our interview, and I started by asking him what went wrong.
Well, I was so busy telling journalists what I was about to do that their house back before I could do it. So it's a bit embarrassing, but look, it doesn't change the overall outcome, and the fact that they had to do it while I wasn't there just points out that I'm taking this alone and standing up to the urgency the government's now doing anyway, because I think someone needs to stand up to it.
So on whose behalf are you doing this?
Oh, I'm doing it on behalf of people who elect me, people who value our parliamentary democracy, and people who believe that it is wrong to throw away our traditions of public consultation and parliamentary scrutiny, especially at a time like this.
So have the people of Epsom told you that they do not want these gun law reforms going through?
Well, obviously, on every issue, people in any electorate have a range of issues. But one thing I am standing on is that people do want public consultation. People do want laws to be made properly. And if they believe that gun laws are important, then they believe that it is important to get it right. I don't think you can do that in 9 days.
OK, so you're speaking generally there about the process, but I'm asking you specifically, has someone been in your ear in particular about these gun laws or the process around the gun laws?
Well, first of all, nobody in particular has been in my ears. I get a huge amount of correspondence, sometimes hundreds of emails per day. Second of all, there are
about
issues
this,
around
do you mean? I'm talking specifically around the process of the gun laws. Have you had an overwhelming amount of correspondence that spurred you on to attempt to do this?
I think every single person in Parliament has had an overwhelming amount of correspondence. This has been the issue that people have been writing to MPs about in the main over the last week. But that's not really the issue here. I have taken this position because I believe it is important, especially in difficult times and especially with important issues, that we actually take the time to consult the public and scrutinise legislation properly. So that's the first objection, is
right.
to the process and procedure.
So it's really important. You've just said it was so important. It was so important that you were late and missed the opportunity.
I think you are, frankly, being overly cynical. I mean, at the end of the day, the government was going to put it into urgency anyway. But what is important is that they had to sneakily do it in the minute that I wasn't there because I was talking to journalists such as
But what
yourself.
was sneaky about it, to be clear? What was sneaky about it? Because there's a time that you're supposed to be in the House. You didn't make that time. They carried on with business. Did you have leave from the House, or was it on you because you were late?
Well, no, Lisa, I was 1 minute late because I was talking to journalists, which I think is important to do, because I think it's important that we communicate through the media with the public of New Zealand. Now, if you want to make the whole interview about that, we can, but I'm actually keen to move on to some more important topics here.
So do you actually think that Chris Hipkins and the Speaker of the House looked around, saw you not there and went hell for leather to get through that first little bit before you could get in there and object?
Well, the Speaker of the House has no control over people seeking leave or raising points of order, so it would be wrong to implicate him. But I'm pretty sure that Hipkins is a crafty guy. He knows the House well, and I think he probably did notice my absence and do it in the first minute of the day.
So it's his fault?
No, Lisa, no one's saying that it's anybody's fault. It's what happened, and it ultimately doesn't change the outcome because the government could have forced Parliament into urgency anyway. But, frankly, if these are the only questions that you have, then we might as well move on. If you want to talk about the substantive issues
Mr. Seymour,
which is what's happening in Parliament,
if it wasn't going to change the outcome,
I'm happy to do that.
If it wasn't going to change the outcome, which is the substance of the thing, if it wasn't going to change the outcome, what was the point of raising the objection anyway?
Well, I think you should raise objection to things that you object to. I mean, it's fairly straightforward. The fact that I wasn't able to do it hasn't changed what finally happened, but I certainly still intended to and would have, was I not communicating with journalists and communicating with the public through them, which is another important thing MPs have to do.
So let's be clear about this. Are you opposed to changing the gun laws, or are you just opposed to the process that's being used to do it?
Well, I'm glad you're getting back to the question I was trying to answer 5 minutes ago. Will I be able to answer it this time, Lisa?
Ball's in your court, Mr. Seymour.
Okay, let's talk about the actual issue here. So first of all, there's an issue of process, and the first question is, what is the status quo right now? Right now we have regulations in place that the government put through by order in council just last week or the week before that said if you have a semi-automatic weapon, then you... Actually, you know what, Lisa, can we do this later? Because, funnily enough, I don't want to miss another speaking opportunity in the House, and I've got to get in there now.
Oh, okay.
So if you want it, no, I'm quite serious. If you're going to spend the whole interview attacking me about being late to the House, you could let me go. All right, bye.
Don't be late. Bye-bye. And that was David Seymour.